One day there will be another way. But for now, I have death.
Hi guys, this is an off-the-cuff episode of Porthole to Justice, a little bit informal. Okay, so it is August 4th. I am saging the you-know-what out of my place. I was just chatting with my good friend Lotus, and I decided I better go live because I love this woman. She's my BF. And I tell her everything, you know. Got my peeps.
Hello.
Yo. Welcome to the show.
How are you?
I am good. I'm feeling really good, actually.
Well, you know what? I'm here to make you feel good. That's my goal in life. When you feel down, you call me and I will make you feel better.
It's okay. I'm going to premise this a little bit. Okay. I'm going to premise it just vaguely. So the other night I wanted to debate a Q believer on the air, and it was, I think it was like the second night of Beltane, and I had this really weird interference. My broadcast was taken over. It started out with like Morse code, and then it went into like I heard somebody breathing in the background. I'd never heard anything like that before, right? And I was kind of freaked out by it. And I was like texting my friends, and I'm like, "Listen to this. What the heck is it?" You know? And then, so I had to cancel the show because it happened twice. And
that's horrible.
Yeah, and
who was the guest? Who was the guest?
I posted the show to his name's Sean Christopher, and I posted the show to my main profile. And then, okay, so a friend of mine, I sent it to a friend of mine. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck is this, right? Because I was like creeped out. Oh, he's like, I'm going live right now. I'm going to go on my show, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just tune in to his show and see, if he's having the same issues, whatever. And he starts talking about my show and how I'm not credible. The Porthole to Justice is not credible because I have sent him information on a judge that wasn't arrested. Personal conversations and debates apparently are now fodder to discredit my platform, which is a platform for victims so that they can have a voice, right? Human trafficking victims and, victims of the system.
You're filling the vacuum.
So,
a very large vacuum.
So then, okay, it gets weirder, all right? So I call into the show and I'm like, look, you know what? You need to stop dissing on my show. I mean, it's really petty this content that you're bringing up to use to discredit me and bring up the Porthole to Justice. And all of a sudden I look in his comments and I see all of these women start like hexing me. And I'm like, oh my God, these are freaking witches, dude.
Right. There are witches, people. I'm married to one, so they are witches. Women are men are powerful too, but women have a connectedness to the universe. They call spirits into their womb and make people. So don't tell me women aren't magical.
They're probably doing some kinky sex witch magic with this guy that hosts this radio show. They're probably
you don't even know that. They don't even need to know that.
Body fluids.
But they
I have no
protective.
idea.
Okay.
But my point is this and then okay, so that was just one in a series of weird events that occurred that night. Okay, First of all, we were like huge.
You know, I'm laughing because I have to, right? I mean, you and I both know this happens to us all the time.
Oh, no,
okay?
no. This is par for the course, baby.
This is totally par for our lives. This is actually minor. This is minor. I mean, get jumped by two attorneys and a cop in a courtroom. That's what we go through on a regular basis. That's people.
Yeah, so this is a series of unfortunate events over here. So, but no, we were like really blessed by Zeph and Patricia Daniels. They bought my son a beautiful electric guitar, an amplifier, and case, and stands. I mean the whole thing for him to start music lessons this summer. So
for creative outlet. Yeah, because he needs a creative. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's sitting over on the.
Gift. That was very kind of them. That was very.
Yeah, he's sitting over on the chair, and he's playing on his guitar, and he'd been there for a while, tuning it up. And he's like, "Mom, my arm really hurts." And I'm like, "Wow." I'm like, well, maybe it's sore from playing the guitar. So I give him an ice pack, and I put him to bed. The next morning, he wakes up, and his arm and his hand is swelled up. Like, he can't even bend his fingers right now.
Yeah. Major inflammation, yeah.
So, and so then, I get...
You're like putting to it, have I been hexed and they cursed my son,
No.
Well, and people are like, oh, you're crazy. I mean, there's half people are going, that's crazy to think that.
And then you get creepy text messages like, I'd bury you if it weren't for your son. I don't take that kind of stuff lightly, especially you and I.
Would not. Okay, I'm going to tell you, in consideration that what we, you and I, and other people are exposing is, I don't care if it's inherent or not. There are people in your government, people who are willfully, consciously trafficking children through the judiciary and the government and instruments of state, and that no one's stopping it. And that's a provable fact. This is happening. And so you have people within your government that are facilitating child trafficking. Okay, that's worse than the Holocaust, folks. I mean, that's Nazism. That's scary stuff. Okay, when people like Amelia and I are exposing that, we are targeted by a variety of means, and you have to take these types of you should take these threats credibly, because people are murdered every day. There is a history of people that are murdered in the last 10 years. I know a friend who said that, out of the 12 men that started the Freeman movement, like, they were all basically assassinated, including some of their children, folks. This is not game stuff. This is serious, helter-skelter, covert assassination, black ops, deep state stuff we're exposing here. And so, Amelia, I think that when someone...
I go on to some of these profiles, right? And I see that, oh my God, these are witches, and they're openly posting like hexes and stuff. And
okay, well, why would witches, and I want to really... reflect on this. Why would another woman?
It's not just that. I have serious concerns. I mean, one of them was posted, I'm a social butterfly. I mean, that sounds sort of code for like, I'm CIA.
No. So, okay. You are a social... I imagine that in high school you were really chipper and you were friendly with everybody because you just have that type of personality. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You're in the media. You like talking to people. You like speaking to, facilitating relationships with people. You like being social. You're in social media. So that's kind of a really, you're smart. I'm a social butterfly. I'm in media, in social media, doing this for, what I'm doing. It suits your nature to talk to people and to expose. You are a social butterfly. That's why you're good at what you do. So she just stated the obvious. Well, that doesn't make anybody smart.
I'm talking about her self-description of herself.
Right.
To me,
she's a social butterfly.
To me, that's like code. Like, I'm CIA. I don't know. Anyways,
what is a social? But why would a social butterfly person be? I mean, I don't understand why any woman, be a witch or not, because I'm a firm believer in wickery. I accept divinity, and I accept that this world is a spiritual construct full of magic. Magic every day. I see magic. I see magic every day, folks. You just don't know what you're looking at. You're thinking this is a house, and it's not a house. This is a vessel. You're thinking colors. People don't understand the magic of science. I'm a scientist. I understand that there is mystery and divinity in all things scientific. The more you learn about science, the more you understand that there is a divine creation happening, that there is a balance to nature, that there is something special about where we are. And we don't control it. We don't make it. It is, and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's magnificent. It's all in balance. It breathes, it grows, it has cycles, it has colors. People don't understand the beauty and the essence and the divinity in everything that we see and do, because they just take it for granted. They take it for granted.
I don't think necessarily people understand exactly how protected we are and who we are.
Oh my gosh, we are so protected. We are God's children. And we are the children of God. We are God's chosen people.
I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh. They will be drunk on their own blood as with wine. Then all mankind will know that I, the Lord, am your Savior, your Redeemer, the Mighty One.
Because guess what? Lucifer, thank you for the word.
That is Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 25.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I've had a couple of people call me. Every person I've talked to, like over the weekend, they're like, I got to go read my Bible. I was reading my Bible when you called, and I think that's wonderful because they're looking for the law, and you heard that. The metaphor of that is that because you know what these people are doing. They're drinking blood. The people, the principalities on high we are fighting are taking children and women and grown. They are taking humans and sacrificing them and drinking their blood. And exercising cult practices. These are people in instruments of state. Okay, there is a big statue of Moloch at a place in California where heads of state and from all over the world go and don robes, speak in weird, creepy tongues, in cult mantras, and make fake sacrificial death acts towards folks. You have people who are practicing cultism of Moloch, the deity that they threw babies to in the times of Moses in Egypt. You have heads of state meeting to go through these sacrificial methodologies and cult practices of sacrificing to Moloch. Okay, wake up. People, this is all a facade. Imagine that the old ways have just been given a new persona, a new face. Mm-hmm. They're the same creeps. They're the same reprobates, but it's all metaphor and allegory. The reason why the Bible speaks to us in allegory and metaphors, because it's not about the time. It's not about the physical flesh. It's not about whether it's a car or a chariot. It's not about whether it's a mud hut or a mansion. It's not a matter of whether it's the United States or Russia. It's not a matter of black or white. It's not a matter of Christian or Jew.
Why does he bring up my son at all? Well,
that's the point. I don't think of adults' children and when I contemplate whether I'm going to hurt them. That's creepy. That's a person who needs mental help in their motivations. And if that person, and here's the thing, you're going to start to see there's a lot of people doing good.
And this person apparently majors in psychology and studies political science.
He might want to heal thyself and go get some mental health help, because who threatens an adult? Why? If you're both fighting for the same thing. Okay, there's a lot that goes on in this world that are not verifiable when you say them. Okay, how many years have I been fighting and saying what I say and I know to be true in the law, and people are just now starting to understand a little bit of it because it's so complex. It's really hard. This is complex law and trust law hidden in the parables of cultism and spirituality and false states. I mean, it's an amazing construct. And sees things like that, to understand interconnectedness of things. I see it as divine. I'm not scared. No one can fear me. You can't imbibe fear in me. I have this friend that I talk to which I do love Facebook for this respect, video chatting, I hate fascist book in a lot of ways. I personally think it should be seized as a public utility. It's the new Ma Bell, right?
Well,
I love
exactly what I posted. I think the power has been abused with this.
And I think it needs to be seized into the public domain. I think that they should be able to administrate it as a public utility.
They're not their jurisdiction in California. They live, the headquarters are in California.
Make it a transferring utility proper. Bring it as a transferring utility and bring them under the transferring utility guidelines of the state. Commoditize them. It's an amazing thing. But again, when you do that, guess what? When you commoditize a transferring utility, when you take something like that, anybody who has a claim, let's say they actually use somebody else's patents here or there. When you start commoditizing stuff like that, the people who have patents that they're using, maybe unlawfully, programming byproducts and stuff, they become, those people are owed compensation too. So that would open them up to patent laws and stuff like that. But even still, I think that Facebook is a vile community, more than anything, because I can talk to my friend in the other side of the world on video chat, and I know he's a real person. Okay, or at least he's a computer program I can call on Facebook, but he responds. He's got I can sit and gauge whether he's an AI by what we talk about, and he says he worries for my physical safety. I'm like, dude, I'm way more dangerous if I'm not in this flesh. Don't cry for me. I'm going home. I know where I'm going. They can't fear me into not doing what I'm doing because I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to be not bound to this flesh. I'm not here to dwell in it. It's a gift. And I cherish all the things that I perceive and feel and experience in it. But I'm not bound to it. I am the sum of it in some respects, but it's not my totality. I came here with something already, folks. I'm just adding to my karma this time around. Okay? So they can't threaten me with death. They can't threaten me with damnation because I know that my God's the true goddess. I know theirs is a false one. I know that my God goddess, my God, mother, father, as Jesus would say, my God, mother, father. That's what Jesus said. That in the Gospel of Thomas and the Secret Gospel of John, it's God, mother, father, not Godfather, not just Godfather. Because good Christians, when they get to preach and they say, Godfather, help me. It's not just Godfather. Jesus said, God, mother, father, help me. That's what Jesus said. So Jesus, God, mother, father has told me, and I know that this, my God, mother, father, is the most on high, and everybody under my goddess is subject to the nature of the being that my goddess gave them in their incarnation. Lucifer, Satan, all these false Elohim, minor deities, they all are nothing without the precept of goddess. Goddess made Lucifer. Goddess made Satan. Goddess made Baal. Goddess made Beelzebub. Goddess made everything. So you can't threaten me, Beelzebub and Baal, with death in the physical form, which I consider a gift, when I know I'm going to return to my mother, my God, mother, father. You won't. I know where you're going. You ain't coming with me. I'm here to help you. I'm going home. So if they can't fear you into submission, they have nothing. So that's the freedom that everyone needs to understand. There is no fear to have. There is no fear to have. Well, what do you fear? Death? Death is a flesh construct.
You know how I feel about, I'm exposing this stuff. My platform is a platform for your voice, for victims of human trafficking.
That you have personally experienced. You're a victim of it. You're speaking it.
I have to stop being a victim. Hello, I think I've stopped being a victim like a long time ago.
Being a victim. The only way for a person, a living flesh and sentient entity, to take away the construct of being felt put upon is for the tort to be removed and have never happened. It's an impossibility to remove a torture. That's why it's called a tort. Once you tort someone, it changes who they are. How do you undo what they changed you to be? Amelia.
Well,
you can't.
Well, here's the thing. It's not about me. The platform,
Right,
the
but
porthole
I'm
to
saying
justice
that's
is not necessarily about me. It's what I do. It's what I do. But the platform is a platform for people to expose human trafficking and fraud on the court and human trafficking in the juvenile justice system. Because
Absolutely.
so
And no one else is covering it. And then why would anyone tell you to be quiet unless they didn't want the exposure of that? You know, like I say, I don't understand. And we've talked about co-optation within the movement. And then there's the shills and the tools. The shills are people who are paid to co-opt things and to cause divisiveness and chaos within the ranks of systems trying to affect change. Because there is a political and institutionalized and contrived agenda by the powers that be to prevent organizations and groups of people, assemblies of people, to get together to actually organize enough to affect change. So there is a contrived effort to violate the First Amendment, because when people who are shills, who are paid by governmental agencies, CIA, I don't care who, even private corporations who pay people to interfere with First Amendment assembly by creating divisiveness, by coming into organizations and saying, creating lies and pointing to people, basically just causing crap in organizations. If they're paid agents of a private or a public corporation, because the government is a public corporation, everybody else is a private corporation, okay? Mm-hmm. So your government are public corporations, just like banks, just like libraries. Those are public corporations that operate in commerce. Xerox is a private corporation, but guess what? It must operate within as for the betterment of the public trust, because they're licensed by public corporations called the State of Ohio Secretary of State. So we're all in commerce. These are all corporate entities. People need to understand that there's flesh and blood constructs and things constructs, pieces of paper that create instruments of trust. Pieces of paper are what the state of Ohio is. The state of Ohio is pieces of paper. The Republic State, Ohio, is land. It's flesh and blood. It breathes. It has water. It has plants. It is a living, natural state of being that has nothing to do with the men that walk upon it, except that when we run it and we pollute it and we spill blood on it. Mm-hmm. But the state of Ohio is a thing. It does not think. It does not feel. So the state of Ohio is affecting criminality. It is the blood, flesh and blood breathing men in it that are making it happen that way. We're talking about looking at people as for their actions. People need to stop thinking, because
individual people. And if you have
individual people, absolutely individual people.
I'm not going to say any names, okay? I'm heated.
Well, it's not necessary.
My feathers are ruffled. But if you have to constantly bring up somebody else's show and try to discredit them to bring attention to yourself and your show,
right? Absolutely.
It just
and it doesn't serve the purpose. It doesn't serve the movement. What's the purpose in that? Okay. For example, I will give you a personal example. I will name names. Chris Hallett and Kurt Pendergrass. I don't agree with their methods, but guess what? I have told them point blank how I disagree, like in law, with what they're doing. Do you see me defaming them, except in particularities?
Or threatening them, or punching them in the throat?
Guess what? Kurt and Chris are my friends on Facebook. I would talk to Chris personally, and Kurt still personally. They're moving it. They're moving the law. Even if I disagree with the path, they're going to. But I've told Chris, I'll bounce off whatever you do wrong, buddy. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to defame people just because I disagree with their path. Mm-hmm. That's his law. That's his sui juris. Chris doesn't defame me. I've never heard any of them do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. I can name a multitude of people, but that is a particular. You can check our Facebook page and our communications, and you can see I may not agree with what he says, but I respect that he's trying to move the law. Mm-hmm. I'll take anything like that, right?
No,
When we,
and I mean, you know me. That's why I started the Social Media News Network, because it's not just about me and Porthole to Justice. I want to bring everybody up with me. I want to give everybody that's speaking out a voice.
Running to the finish line at the same time,
Yeah.
the more likely we are to bust the wall.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't even get that. So I'm going to tell you, people really need to start shutting this stuff down. It's the same thing about the liberals are starting to get reined in. I wouldn't even call them liberals. I'd call them fascists that are hiding under the liberal construct, because I'm a liberal. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you're a true,
I know what I want to talk to you about. This is a whole new topic.
Okay,
but it is kind of on the same.
Well, it triggered you, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's on the same sort of theme, okay, that we have going in the show, okay, because we're tomorrow's the end of Beltane, right? And I was talking to you and your wife about that, and then if you think about where socialism came from, it came from France, right? I think it was Robespierre during the 18th century.
A true republic would be very socialist, because we all own our capital and there's no state between it.
And these leftist people, they say we're a democracy, right?
Well,
I say we're a cultocracy. We're an occult.
Right. Well, they are. I'm not a cultocracy, but
if you think of the French Revolution, right? This was what they were the what? Oh gosh, I can't think of the name. Remember?
You mean the philosophers of the French Revolution that said that the state corrupts the man? That the man is born divine, and that the purpose of not only does the state corrupt the man, the states of men as they are corrupting men.
There was an actual cult. There was an actual.
Right, so they go further, but they said their actual intent, the design of the state, is to corrupt the man, because they are based upon evil ways. Like they're rooted in the habits of men from very demagoguery, evil-based societies. That's what we've talked about in the last thing.
It was a cult of Democrats, basically, and at the end of the French Revolution, they ended up, all being beheaded publicly.
Right. Well, yeah, because they're Okay. So here's what people like to live on. A psychopath will wrap themselves in something that is not a truth in order to cover their reprobate behavior, so they don't have to face themselves. So a psychopath is really someone who is unable to judge themselves in the mirror that they put upon other people. It's actually like a really kind of screwed up narcissism. So a psychopath and a sociopath and people who have machinations of insanity are people who have a one-sided argument of logic and reason, where they present the presumption and they say, I am this to the world, and that's a fact, and then that's where they stop. Okay, that's the doctrine of discovery. I am a Christian man from the heretical cult of Rome, and I say, as the Pope and the Vicar of Christ, that you, as a Christian man, can go anywhere into the realm not claimed by our coven of cult men, and you can declare it from your presumption that you are divine and acting in the behest of God, may view and judge the entirety of the lands. And if you declare them heretical to our cult construct, you can rape, mayhem, seize them, and do as you will in the name of our cult, and you can make money at it and do it for your own personal benefit. That is the doctrine of discovery. It was a declaration that men, in their let's have no women, no babies, we are a segregated all-male cult where we don't have sex with women. Where does it say they don't have sex with other men in the cult? Nowhere. Okay, folks, or children. There's a presumption that these men don't have sex. With whom? Because we know they have them with kids. It's cult. It's an all-male, misogynistic, disgusting, anti-woman cult.
Well, it's not anti-women. It's not completely anti-women, because we also talked about that it's being run by women.
Well, we have that belief. We have that belief that these men are just subservient to some high priestess coven of, I don't know, state that I don't even know, but they're reprobate. They're done. We're not, the point of the fact is this, is that you have to look at the totality of our existence and history to understand what we're arguing against right now. We're not just America in 2018 with a lot of, this and that and ISIS and this. The names may change, but by allegory and metaphor, the facts do not. And you need to start looking at the world. Men who wear black robes are not any more honorable or less honorable than the average person, but they may be because you've given them a complete ability to act unchecked with not just immunity, impunity. Okay. How many of you out there listening?
Okay, I know what I was trying to mention. I was trying to mention, well, okay, Robespierre, okay, he convinced the people of Paris that, okay, he had sought dictatorial powers, okay, and he was viewed as an internal enemy of the revolution, okay?
Right. He was a co-opter trying to seize power of the revolution.
Right. Okay. And during this time, there was the rise of the democratic Jacobins.
The Jacobins. That was who you were talking about. Yes, the Jacobins. Or Jacobins. I don't know how they're spelled. Jacobins, Jacobins. Who is a sex cult.
It's a sex cult. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And if you want to learn about that, then go read the pornography of oh my gosh, there's a movie about it. Jeremy Irons was in him. I'll think of it. But there's a guy who wrote about the sexual excesses of the elite of France. People don't understand that the fall of the monarchy of France had a lot to do with sadomasochistic behavior and in us being subjugated upon the people within the walled city of Paris by the monarchy of France. People have to understand, they used to close the walls of Paris and keep the people in. Okay? And then they're in their ivory tower, and they would send their armed men out and just seize people and just torture them for fun. People don't really think about life, that the true facts of life in the monarchical period, when you have a king who's insane or seized by Satanism and has found a priest in the Catholic Church who has told him that he can do whatever he wants to his people as long as he pays a tithe to the church itself. That's what an indulgence is. That was the schism between Martin Luther and the church. Martin Luther said, you can't pay your way out of sin. Okay? Sin. So
we have a class of people, okay, that are reprobate, that practice certain ritualistic behaviors, which involve bodily fluids and sex, being sexual.
Just disgusting hedonistic stuff. Hold on a second. I might get a call through. If it bleeps out for a second. When people call in my phone when I'm on the phone with you, that's when we get those bleeps. But so yeah.
Okay.
So the monarchy the monarchies that still control the banking structure and rule international policy and have an equal step in policy are founded and have been grown from the machinations and the ability of certain groups of people to do whatever they wanted to do within the banking structure and the religious structure of the Roman Catholic Church, as long as they paid a fee to the church to be
we basically don't have bars. We have contrived poverty and massive homelessness in areas where, like we can see in California, where there are people where they practice a lot of occult, and they actually thrive on contriving poverty and making a vulnerable class of people.
Absolutely, because they're allowed to do it because they can with immunity and impunity, and all they have to do is pay money. Okay, anymore, they don't even pay money. They're hypothecating bonds. This is the totality of international banking is a farce.
The symptoms. It's also a symptom of being involved. If you're oppressed and you're in poverty, it's a symptom of being involved in the occult.
Right. Well, but yes, you're victimized by their occultist behaviors, masked under the auspices of agents of state, reprobate men who have control. Okay, if your banking structure came from the ability to be able to molest any of your vassals, your feudal object, your assets as a king, as things. And you can do whatever you want to do to things as long as you pay a fee, a fiefdom, to the Pope and the Vicar of the Roman Catholic Church Bank. We're still under that law, folks. And that's why it's so reprobate. Indulgences are still being practiced. In fact, the church, I think, is probably exercising them now. Now we have priests saying that they should be absolved from pedophilia and molesting children because they are delivering the children in spirituality, because it's a spiritual experience for all involved, because I'm a priest. Okay, that's called doctrine of discovery. I am so divine. If I molest a 3-year-old, I am delivering the child to God. That's machinations of psychopaths. Psychopaths. People who think that they are above all things and can do whatever they want unchecked. Guess what? Our law has brought forth a means to check them in the very way they operate. In commerce, in tithe. A tithe is a commercial act. An indulgence is paying a fee, a fine, to the vicar. An indulgence is a fine paid to the vicar, a baildom. Get it? Mm-hmm. The elite have the Roman Catholic Church is a Baal temple bank.
Well, you can think about, if you think about like sodomy, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Let me say that again.
No, let's talk about this really second, because I want the premise again.
Okay, let me say the premise again. The Roman Catholic Church is the Baal temple bank. So now go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So, okay, let's, for instance, okay, there's sexual rituals, right? They use sexual energy in this occult practice, right? Okay. Right. What lives in poop?
A lot of really gross stuff.
Parasites, fly larvae.
I can tell you biologically what is in poop. The lymphatic sludge of your flesh. You know what's in the lymphatic system? What your body puts in the lymphatic system, which is then dumped into your kidneys and pissed out of you and pooped out of you. I actually think that it is in the kidneys. In the lymphatics, I think it may be poop too, but the lymphatics collect all kind of the pus and the foreign cells and the dead cells. The lymphatics are the sewer system of all your organs. So I know that the sewage of your body is in your poop and your pee, and that's some pretty nasty stuff these days. So that's what I'm going to tell you.
You know, I often will go online and I'll talk about sometimes, you know, that what's involved in these rituals is a lot deeper than just, I
see where you're going with this. So do you think that the Roman Catholic cult of Baal has assigned the 7 sins to the 7 rituals, and that they actually are acts of flesh? That if
yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying. You know, oops, I lost her.
No, you didn't. I'm back. Oh, okay. It's a call thing. It's like whenever you're listening to call forwarding.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I've been saying, and people are like, "Oh no, you're crazy."
Well, I can totally see that, because they could have put all the indulgences.
I'm entitled, right? I'm entitled to my opinions, right, and my own life experiences.
They have no idea what you know. They have no idea who you are, where you come from, or the people you know, Amelia. And see, I have the beauty of knowing that, because I actually know you. I actually know things about you other people don't know. I know things about you other people nobody knows. Okay, and I understand you in the greater construct. Anybody who doubts Amelia's ability to speak from her perspective with an authority in the law and experience is a liar or fraud or insane, because they don't know her. And they have no idea how she gets it. She gets it because of other things she knows. And she's an intuitive person. And she looks at the greater body of things. And the fact that you, back to what started this, that you would entertain that a bunch of women hexing you online would result in your child being stung by or being bit by some unknown animal or insect that day, you're like, that's some spiritual mojo. Because you know that we're in a spiritual war. You know it. Mm-hmm. Who cares? These people who are attacking the knowing, because when you're in a spiritual warfare,
I don't see the world the way most people do. First of all, I would, yeah.
Me.
You don't want to go head to head with me.
Absolutely. Nor should you have to. I just don't understand the productivity of it. And this is what I'm saying. I just had a conversation for about an hour and a half today with a good friend and a client of mine that I've known for years. And she's on one side of the argument as a 40-year veteran of providing social services to disenfranchised children. This is her life. She is a director of a very wonderful organization that provides a safe house for runaway teenagers and children as early as 9. It's Huckleberry House. And we spoke about, that's a wonderful program, and it's from the heart. It's a very heartfelt program. They provide the services and do for children what I would wish the state would do as a construct. Okay. Mm. And we were discussing the issues today, and we don't agree on everything because I'm arguing from one perspective, she's arguing for another. But guess what? In the end, we both agreed wholeheartedly that both of us want to make sure that children are provided for and not taken advantage of by anybody. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand people who are attacking you as an adult if their goal is to make sure children are being taken advantage by anybody. Mm-hmm. Whatever errors you make don't detract from the greater picture that we are fighting baby traffickers who eat children. Eat them. Chew their flesh, swallow their blood, eat our babies. As a cult practice. Okay, people can say, and this is just like, you go into these directions that I just can't abide by. And I get it. She didn't say those words, but that's what it is, because she can't fathom anything past.
And when you deal with these people that think very inside the box, they can't wrap their heads around the concept that there are rituals for the 7 deadly sins. There are rituals that indoctrinate.
You have banking. And it's even crazier than that. And that your whole world construct of nation states and banking are based upon the people who have derived power from those very instruments of disgusting behavior. And that, the country, the United States of America, with the American people, have created a body of law specifically to fight such reprobate behavior.
I don't post my personal perspective or opinions in the Porthole to Justice. I post this on my personal Facebook wall. But people need to understand when you exchange bodily fluids with somebody, when you exchange or if you're using bodily fluids in a ritual, let's talk about this because you want to get into banking and I want to premise that. Okay. Parasites are hierarchical, just like the insect world. And just like the insect world, they are also very telepathic. Okay. And hive-minded. So the hive mind is quite literal in my perspective. So, you're exchanging different types of parasites when you ingest feces, when you engage in certain sexual activities, you're exchanging parasites. Okay. Now, these rituals go even further to places that,
because they imprint the mind much like a circumcision does in a boy. They imprint the mind with a flesh moment, a penetration, a sexual act, something, a euphoria. What they create is it's either a pain. This is where the BDSM and the tortures of which is where even the sexual BDSM culture right now. is about BDSM behavior derived from monarchical activities. Okay, I know.
We talk, and a lot of people they talk about MK Ultra. They don't need an MK Ultra anymore. We have the technology to imprint programming onto living organisms, like parasites, or pieces of flesh, or even bio stuff that they spray on you.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Go ahead.
Okay, even biologicals that they spray on you from the sky, or smart dust. We have the ability to create gifts. Now, if you look into technology and you research what I'm saying, you can figure this out. I mean, it's 1 + 2 + 3. It's not something that I'm making up that's fantastical. Or
right. No, I get that.
It might be outside the box of people's normal thinking. Lotus?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I lost for a second. I got you. I said no. It's not that hard to conceive.
Yeah, and so I have different perspectives on different things in life, and so a lot of how I perceive things and my connection with Source empowers me to do the work that I do. Are you still there?
Oh, I totally get that. No, I'm still here. I'm just making sure that I'm not interrupting you.
Oh, okay.
No, I get that. No, I know that, and it's all.
I'm sorry. The banking thing you were talking about.
Well, I mean, the banking. People have to understand that we are a culmination of our history. Okay, and history has not changed who is ruling the world since Christ. Okay. And before that, Christ actually railed against the people who are ruling the world at his time that are still ruling the world right now. Okay? They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. I personally have written the Pope and said, hey, you're still doing the same thing you were doing at Christ. Moses brought the law, Jesus brought the grace. I'm telling you, hammer of God, stop doing what you're doing because we're done. 2,000 years. Same behavior. Mm-hmm. Same behavior. Trafficking babies, coming at people, thinking there are gods in our Elohim,
eating
putting
flesh, drinking blood.
It's disgusting. Baal worship. That's what Baal worship is. Rome is one of their the Roman cult before Christendom was created by Christ. Worship Baal and Beelzebub and Moloch. They were polytheistic and they practiced sacrificial behavior. They still do, folks, and they were hedonists. You know what I remember about the Roman Empire as a child? I was taught, this is what I was taught. The Roman Empire had, in their restaurants, they had a special bathroom with troughs, and people carried feathers around. They would eat so much in these banquet halls, they would then go puke in the troughs, and then go back out and eat. This was like a Roman feast behavior. They were a disgusting culture of hedonism. Now, hedonism among adults is fine when you engage it in children. Consenting adults is fine, but when you engage children, that's when it's disgusting. They were doing it and thinking they could do these things and do whatever they wanted to do on children, throw children into fires under the auspices of bailing Moloch, this little owl that they pray to in California. That's the same God that the Roman cult of Baal threw babies at and put them to fire as a sacrifice. The same people rule our world.
And are trying to base our global economy on the flesh.
It has always been on that. We are changing how it is run and what it is based upon. It has been that. The statutes now prove it has been that. The attorneys, the trust arbiters, the esquires, the titles of nobility have done their job. Sure. We now know. We can prove that that's what it is. We can prove it's wrong. It's not just an argument of morality. They think in commerce. Mm-hmm. We have proven and can cure that their argument is reprobate, even in commerce. It does not make logic and sense to think that you can convey free allodial children as property, as a faux fee, as a trustee of the allodial estate of the same child you just made a slave. It is not logical in commerce. You as a fiduciary just bankrupted your own trust that you're the trustee of by giving the executor as a slave to another construct. It doesn't make reason and logical sense in commerce. It shows itself to be intuitively, commercially, as a RICO act and a criminal conspiracy to undermine the trust. We've proven that. It can be proven. It has always been slave trade. It has always been the commercial law of Baal worshipers who throw babies into fires for Moloch. Guess what? Baal worship, you know what Baal is? Baal is the sky of the god, the sky god who makes things fall upon crops. And the way I understand Baal worship in the Roman Empire, they would pray to Baal to make it so that their competitor in commerce would not have rain, or blight would fall upon his crops so that you could gain the advantage. So Baal worship is when you pray for your competitor to have a evil come upon him and to make him lose in market so you can come in there and hedge him. That's what Baal worship was in the Roman Empire. I mean, so they're hedging bets, for commerce. Mm-hmm. That's what the banks do. That's what your municipal courts are doing. They're hedging bets.
They hedge bets on our heads.
Yes,
and
right.
They target people and they traffic them.
Great system of racketeering. All right, you've learned to racket the baby as an instrument of commerce. Guess what? Our construct says that the baby owns his capita at incarnation in the law of the realm as an executor with full substantial rights as the lawful executor of the state. And as a trustee, you can't engage that child in commerce nor diminish his returns as a trust inheritor. He's the heir to the trust. They've been appointed as trustees to make sure always sustains him. That's their mandate law. And they just sold him into slavery to some unknown construct? That's criminal in its face. Yep. We've proven that. So the attorneys have done their job. Let's cure it. Can we all get along? Can we all just get along? We did our job. Let's all get together. Why are people lambasting each other? Why are they insulting each other? Why are they threatening people with kids?
When you think about how what's really behind all of this, why are we fighting each other?
Absolutely. I just want to tell you, anybody who brings up my kid or a kid in a conversation pertaining to burying someone or tearing someone up in commerce or what they're doing, because you make a living at this. I mean, like you dedicate your life. This is what you do for your livelihood, right? Mm-hmm. This is your passion. You're not doing something else. So this guy's threatening your livelihood, your existence, all that you do, your capital with your son in tow. You know who does that? The state, who's stealing babies. That's what I think. Anybody who's throwing kids into the mix with people and what they're talking, that's just reprobate. Children are off the table, folks. Children are off the table. Anybody who can't understand that, get on the other side, because you're not on my side. Yep. Don't be bringing people's babies up into conversations, how you're going to threaten to destroy them financially or in the media. When you have to talk about somebody who's your competitor in the media to give yourself credibility, I don't care if you're talking about Hannity. I've never knew so much about Hannity. Hannity is more of a topic now on the news than the news he's probably creating. Guess what? He must be doing something right. His competitors have to make him their topic of news. Guess who's the news? Your competitor. So if your competitor's the news, you're already losing. That's antithetical to commerce. Let me gain my market by insulting my competition. I'm not offering nothing. I'm just going to insult my competition. Mm-hmm. How long do you think that sustains in commerce? See, these are all about, that's not going to win. That's not going to be sustained. People of a moral purpitude won't support it, and people of commercial instrument aren't even going to invest in it. No one's going to invest in an empty argument. See, that's the whole point here. It's all about bringing it all together. I don't affect immoral capitalism. There is capitalism is a free market. Guess what? When your state is immoral, your capitalism is going to be immorally based. So the only way to affect proper moral capitalism, which in truth is true Marxism, true utopian communism, and socialism, and all those pretty little things, is when capitalism is moral. And it serves those things that law is supposed to shield: the infant, the insane, and the infirm, the lessers. There's no poverty in true utopian communism, social, all that stuff. What people don't understand about socialism is there's a hierarchy. When you're in socialism, if you read Marxist, he says in order for cultures to move to certain levels, they have to have achieved certain levels of society, agrarian society, then this type of democracy. It's an evolution of society. And guess what? When Marx wrote his revolution, his writings, the only country in the whole world who sustained his argument was America. We're the only country in the world that actually can fulfill the very well-worded sociological doctorate of Marx. Now, he can't help that a bunch of people who are in the political spectrum works and said, let me see how I can control the world with this potentially truthful theory. So what we're in a period where people are using the Marxist construct to manipulate people.
No,
so where
these are petty arguments, fishing
yes,
for.
They are.
You know, I'm going to attack somebody's personal character.
It's propaganda stuff.
I'm going to get to know somebody and be a fake friend and get to know them, so I can attack their personal character to undermine, to undermine their platform.
Well, here's like the thing about the art of Sun Tzu versus dishonorable warfare, which is fraud. Dishonorable warfare is fraud in commerce. If you come at me sideways in dishonor, and we're actually in a commercial construct, you just defrauded me that on the face of the contract, because you're supposed to, in commerce, you're supposed to come at me in comity, amity, and peace. Comity means we are mutually beneficial in this situation. Amity means you come at me in a good way. You want me to benefit from what we're talking about. And peace is hey, brother, we're cool. That's how we're all supposed to approach each other every day, every time we talk to everybody. And that's how states are supposed to act. That's how corporations, that's how men who operate a state. Everybody's supposed to be talking to each other. Every time you talk to somebody, anybody, anything, you're supposed to operate in comity, amity, and peace. You're supposed to come at them peacefully. I'm going to talk to you and hope that you benefit from my conversation, and whatever conversation we have, we are both going to equally benefit. I'm not going to try to use you, get over on you, and I would expect you're not going to try to get over on me. That's how you're supposed to talk to every day, everybody, every time. By the law, by treaty. And you're supposed to operate in a means where you have a duty to do something. Not the law tells you.
I mean, you can be learned. You can be learned in psychology, but you can also not know wrong from right.
Absolutely.
And you can have the depth of a toothpick.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally, when I learned about Pavlov's dog, I felt bad for the dog, and I thought the dude was crazy. I thought what he did to Pavlov, I thought what Pavlov did to his dogs was mean. Both my parents are psych majors. I've seen mice be trained. Okay, let me tell you a story about my childhood. I'll just bring you to the head on this. When I was a child, my parents came home with 2 white rats. They were in the psychology department as majors in college. My mother was abnormal psych. My mother was normal psych. My dad was abnormal. They covered the spectrum, right? They come home one day. We're all excited as kids. They bring 2 white big rats. They're huge. Full. White rats are about a foot long, by the way, in the olden days. I don't know what they are now, but these are big lab rats. And they're like, hey, we have new pets. And I'm like, hey, where'd you get them? They're like, we got them from the lab of the psych department. Okay, so we had 2. To me, whatever you do, don't put your tongue against the cage. And I'm like, why? And I stick my tongue and the rat bites it. He says, because that's how they feed them, dummy, right? Like he says, don't put your fingers, right? So, and then come to find out, they get pregnant. We're all excited. We're going to watch the birth of life. I come home one day, their birth, but one of the babies has a scar on his eye. And I was like, Dad, what happened to the baby? They got no hair. He goes, the mom attacked him. I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound good. Even as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. I come home the next day from school. They're all gone. My parents told me, I said, where are the rats? Where are the rats? He says, they got away. They took their family and left. I'm like, okay, I'm not dumb, Dad. I'm 6, but I'm not dumb. They raised me right. He says, okay, here's the deal. The lab rats were subjected to LSD tests in the college psych department. And they may have been a little odd, and they ate their babies. And there was carnage, And we didn't want you girls to see it, so we let the rats go. And I'm like, okay, great. Now we have psychotic, LSD lace-infested rats running about in my neighborhood, right? So I felt badly as a child because they, as a state of man, even in their they're not being evil as students trying to learn about humanity by making rats ingest LSD in the 60s, because this is the 60s, this is early 70s, and they were studying the effects of LSD in universities because it was screwing up the world, right? And so they, as students of psychology, were trying to understand LSD, and they were injecting, they had a study, a grant to give these rats LSD and study their behavior. They thought these rats were fine, right? They seemed normal till they had babies, and they went psycho. They went psycho, and happened to go psycho on our house. I felt bad for the babies because my parents, and the states of men, had created 2 rats that mentally went nut and ate their babies. Do you understand? That's what I go to. I don't care how things get advanced. I don't care who does it. I just want it fixed. I don't care, I think it's rude when people. It's just counterintuitive, and I'm tired of this stuff. From my perspective, right now in the here and the now, if there are organizations that are lambasting other organizations that are supposed to be going for the same purpose, which is to protect our children from whatever disgusting behaviors being oppressed upon them that we have no control over, and we can't save them at this time, and there's no remedy, and there's no guns on our side. If you're for that, fixing that, I'm not gonna insult you. And in my opinion, people who are doing that to groups like that should be deemed organizations that are deep state, been compromised, should be skirted to the fringes and disenfranchised from the movement. Same within people who are operating within it. We have a mandate here, and it's not about us, and it's not about us insulting other adults. That's not what we're here for. That's not our purpose right here in the now, in this realm, at this time. That's not our purpose. I mean,
if you're an adult and you have to hex, or you have to manipulate and violate somebody else's free will,
right? If you have to invoke a lesser God and cannot rely upon the divine nature of things in order to get your way, you are not godly. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. If you're invoking Baal instead of the one true God, you're not godly. If you're invoking Moloch or white tigers in order, what are you going to do, make a paper effigy of her and try to hex her? What are you going to do? I mean, I don't understand that. What's that? What is that stuff? What is that stuff?
She's posting.
You're going to invoke effigies to harm people?
They're posting, making these paper effigies of people. And
to harm them. I think that's called voodoo.
Conjuring or whatever,
Well, I'm just saying, conjuring effigies of people. Isn't conjuring effigies of people and hexing them what they're doing to our babies? They're conjuring little pieces of paper. I've told you, it's necromancy. What they're doing to our children is necromancy. They're making pieces of paper to represent our children and hexing them, folks. It's literally like necromancy. You got people saying they're going to hex people. Okay, when you imbibe a spirit into anything that's inanimate, a doll, a straw, a piece of paper, listen, a piece of paper, like a piece of paper. A white tiger is when you take a piece of paper and you make a cutout of a person. Okay, well, how about I just make a square piece of paper and put your name in all capitals and give it a number and hex it and give it to a temple court of Baal? What the heck, people? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you and I see right through it, don't we? We see very clearly.
Because we have
very clearly.
Yeah, it's clearly demonic, non-positive, love-based godliness. It's praying to minor deities.
Believe me, it is not love-based. Believe me.
No, it's not love. It's not love. Like I said,
I'm gonna my device is gonna die. I'm on 2%.
Well, I got to go take care of business, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. And listen, we are in the porthole to justice. I announced that we have several new speakers, and we have we're going to be talking more about spirituality and the constructs of law and righteousness and how all of this plays a huge key into all the different puzzle pieces, and we're going to be talking about it more on the porthole to justice.
Our Constitution is natural law written down for men. That's what our Constitution is, and that's why that's why this is the discussion. Well, I really love your forum. I'm sorry, you first off, don't think that Amelia is complaining. I mean, she is. All women kind of complain, right? They like to talk about what ails them emotionally, but more than anything, she wanted to talk about it, I think, because this happens all the time, and we're trying to bring this to the forefront, are threatened on a variety of ways, even spiritually, because this is a cult-based government. Your world government is cult-based. It's derived from occultism, not just cultism, occultism, and the trafficking of babies and the sacrifice of babies to retain control of commerce. And this needs to change. Even if it doesn't look at that on the face right now, that's where it roots from. And those old ways are still controlling it in their old instruments of ancient law. So people need to understand that. And so this is a spiritual war. This is not a war of the flesh. It's for the flesh. This is a war for the flesh, for the control of who controls your flesh. If I can control my flesh, this will be nirvana. If we make a law, if we establish that we control our flesh from incarnation and have sudden unalienable rights, all of us, regardless, all entities that are sentient and everything.
I think we've clearly defined the line.
Right.
The line.
If it's counterproductive, I'm not going to be party to it.
Well, listen.
Even if it's just like personal bad behavior from a personal sense, just a person who doesn't know how to conduct themselves morally, or even for their own benefit. I'm not going to support people. Don't support
on their faculties being,
right.
Being
Don't
very,
support
very
people
intelligent.
Anybody who personally attacks people and threatens them and stuff, you need to not support those organizations. It's the same thing with the liberal media, the quote liberal media. Again, I am a liberal. I organized liberals, folks. I'm a liberal. That they have torn that word. You people, so I am for liberty. That's what a liberal is. A person who is liberty.
If you think about it in its purest terms. Yes. Well, listen.
Yes, absolutely.
I might lose you, so I'm going to close it out.
I love you. Namaste, everybody. You guys enjoy the weekend. Don't just be good, love each other, be righteous, be true, be fair, be honest, be honorable.
Be righteous. All right.
Love you.
Love you. Oh, and I'll see you back for lunch with Lotus.
Oh, yeah. This is a special edition. That's right. All right. I love you.
All right.
Girl.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, everyone. This has been another episode of Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. You can subscribe to my show on Spreaker.com. You can subscribe on Facebook, join the blog and the community and the conversation. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram. All right, everybody. Have a great day.